Hi everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. In today's video, we are doing winter DIYs for those of you, if you're like me and you want to keep that winter sparkle going a little bit longer than just the Christmas season. This is going to be the perfect home decor for you. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For this project, I'm using a Dollar Tree bucket that I got for the fall. I love these little buckets. You can use a coffee can or an old bucket container or an old paint container, whatever you can find. I just happen to have one of these buckets and they're super cute, so I thought I'd use this. And I'm going to go ahead and cover it with Folklore chalk paint in the color Linen. That's just a really good chalk paint for adhering. Waverly kind of chips off sometimes on these shiny surfaces, so if you're going to use Waverly, try to buff up your surface a little bit with some sandpaper. And I'm using this ice skate that I picked up at the Dollar Tree out of the Christmas ornament section. I'm going to use this metallic paint here. It's just silver because I want my little blade at the bottom to look more like metal, and I didn't worry if I had a super solid coverage right there. See how it's shiny? I'm showing you how much better that looks. So I didn't mind if a little bit of the brown showed through because I'm kind of making this look older and distressed. So I'm taking a little bit of antique wax with a baby wipe and I'm just going over the fur a little bit. I just don't want it to look brand spanking new. Just a little bit of age hair around the blade and around the fur on top so it looks like an ice skate that's actually been used. I got these birds maybe like a year ago at the Dollar Tree. I thought they'd be perfect for a winter DIY, but I didn't care for the beak and the color there. It just looks really cartoonish to me and just over the top a little bit. So I trimmed the beak down to make it look a little less, harsh. And I'm also going to take some of the wax there and paint the beak and paint the little feet just to tone those down as well and make them look more natural. I have some silicone molds that I ordered off of Amazon that makes these little trims here. I actually just globbed a bunch of hot glue in it and put it in the microwave and melted the glue to make sure that it went down in all the little crevices. It was just something I was kind of playing around with a month ago and I decided to use it now. Now my printer broke, you guys, so I did order another one, which actually came today, but I had to work with what I had. So this was an image from some scrap paper that looked a little too Christmassy on the top, but I remember seeing it thinking, oh, that would be a nice, winter image for a winter DIY. So that's what we're using today. It's like a house just with snow in the middle of a field, but I folded over the top because that had some ivy and some berries, which you still see in wintertime. I mean, it wasn't totally the end of the world if you have those colors because those are winter colors. It's just I was trying to go for more of a white look and, limit the amount of reds that I have in all my DIYs. So I painted this little trim here and I'm just gluing it on. I used the big guns. I'm sure you noticed I opened up a package of the E6000 because for this one, I did want it to stay and it's heavy. That hot glue trim there is kind of heavy. So I used a little hot glue in E6000 and now I'm just kind of distressing everything with the antique wax by Folklore. You can use any antique wax. You could even use brown paint and a baby wipe just to make it look a little older. This is some, I want to say it's boxwood, but I actually think it might have come under eucalyptus. If somebody knows for sure, it could be a species of eucalyptus, I guess. But I just flocked it with a brush and some white acrylic apple barrel paint to make it look like snow, went all over it. And then because, again, this is kind of a heavier craft right here, I was heavy-handed with the Mod Podge. I really wanted to seal it in there so that it could handle being touched and used throughout the years. I'm going to keep this forever. I love this one. So I just knew that I wanted it to stay on that metal bucket. So here's some packing foam that came in one of my Amazon packages. I keep everything and I'm just using that for my florals. I did have to cut them down about 2 notches. There's little notches on the bottom of it. You can see like little lines there and I just went up 2 on each one and trimmed it with a wire cutter and then that worked perfect. Well, that was a good height for that bucket. Now I'm taking the Dollar Tree skewers. I'm just staking my little ice skate. I left them natural wood because I think that goes really good. I kind of think winter decor is also like a woodland theme. I see people doing woodland themes of DIYs, and I think those actually are perfect for winter DIYs, usually, unless they're adding Christmas accents. But this is definitely woodsy. all my winter DIYs are going to be kind of celebrating just nature, the forest. So I add a little sprig of evergreen in there. I added some of the big, really cute pom-poms that look like snowballs as a filler at the bottom, just to add a little bit more winter touch, and some pine cones that are scented cinnamon. I'm just gluing things in there that have to do with winter. Those are Dollar Tree wooden snowflakes, which I thought added a nice touch. And we're pretty much all done. I love the way this came out. Like I said, I'm going to keep this one forever. I think it's so elegant. Someone came on last time when I made something similar for Christmas and said at Pottery Barn you would pay about $65 for something like this, and I believe it. And this cost me, I believe, under $10 to make. For this project, I wanted to do something really different. So I'm taking this Dollar Tree cutting board and I'm taking this big round that I found during last year's Valentine's decor. And I'm going to take some cardstock, trace the top of this, and you'll see me trace it, but then watch me lift it up. So I'm elongating it. I want it to be taller and longer than this cutting board. And I'm just tracing the top. I'm going to make a template. And I'm going to fill it in with my pencil where I couldn't quite get the edges perfect. I'm kind of freehanding this a little bit too. Next, I'm going to put my round up against that faux handle and trace the round to get the template perfect to fit this round here. If you haven't guessed, we're going to be making a makeshift cutting board, but I wanted it to be a lot bigger than the round one the Dollar Tree sells, and I also didn't have a round one, so I thought we'll just use the round from last year. I'm using part of an old Dollar Tree sign for the handle. I had to cut one down for another DIY and save everything, you guys, because you never know when you're going to use it. And this MDF board particularly is super easy to cut. It's not like wood, but you can certainly make it look like real wood just by tips and tricks and painting skills here. It's not hard to do, I promise you, but definitely save these because as you can see, I'm just using my utility knife. Then I go over and over and over, and then I get sick of it because I have the patience of a gnat. So I take, those are actually tin cutters that I got on Amazon, worth every red cent. Oh my gosh, you guys, they're amazing. They cut things, they're so sharp. I haven't even tried them on metal yet, but I'm using them for everything. And they're just snipping through it. I cut some craft sticks, no problem. For the first time ever, didn't splinter the craft sticks at all. So it goes to show if it's something really sharp, you don't, like I used to say, oh, use sharp scissors and just nibble away really slowly so you don't crack your craft sticks. Even with that trick, you still sometimes do crack your craft sticks. Try saying that fast 5 times. Crack your craft sticks, but you do, even though you try not to. These so far seem to absolutely cut right through the craft sticks, 0 splintering, 0 cracks. So I'm really super excited about that. I will leave a link down below to the ones I got to from Amazon. So I glued the handle on with some hot glue, and next I'm using some of these little half wood beads, and I'm just gonna place them around, kind of get my placement first before I permanently glue them to make sure they're evenly spaced and they're all gonna fit on there and look cosmetically nice. And I'm just using Surebond or hot glue too. And then I'm using white acrylic paint from Apple Barrel Paint for this. I'm not using chalk paint, and I'm gonna give it 1 coat. Now here's what I always do with my antique wax, and I don't think I've ever shown you guys. I just take one of the squirt bottles, it doesn't have to be from the Dollar Tree, just a squirt bottle of water, and I squirt the wax like you just saw me do until it's more watery and easier to work with. It goes a lot farther that way, it glides a lot easier on your projects, and it's just all in all, to me, it improves the application 100%. If you water it down a little bit, you just get a lot more you already get a lot for your bang with antique wax anyway because it's slippery, but if you water it down, you get even more, and it, I think, makes nicer wood grain. So I'm taking a brush to apply it initially, and then I just use a baby wipe to kind of smear it around to make this look like a faux wood, and I'm taking a paintbrush, going around each one of those little wooden beads. And I wanted to trace a snowman. Now, I'm going to say upfront disclosure, I cannot paint. I am not a good painter. People will compliment me all the time, bless your heart, and tell me, oh, that was so nice, but it's really, really like elementary school Dear Watson type things that I paint. But I had an image in my mind of something I saw a while back on Pinterest, something similar. I couldn't quite remember it. It was, I think, on a square picture, but I wanted to do it now, and I was going to trace it with pencil. Unfortunately, it was so dark I couldn't see the pencil, so I just used my pencil eraser and kind of roughly traced out the imagery of a snowman. We're not going to get his whole body here. It's just going to be like half of his body where he's peeking through, and I really thought this was going to be a hot mess, you guys, and when I kept going, lo and behold, it was all done. It's my favorite DIY today. So if you can't paint, please give this a try. Don't give up. Just get in there and try. If you make a mistake, like I actually made a mistake with the eraser, I don't know if you noticed, and I went too far out for his belly, and I just took some more wax and covered it up, because once this is all done, you'll see there's so much stuff going on that you won't see any mistakes anyway. So it's a great starter piece for those of you that aren't real confident about painting. So I'm doing his little black hat here. I did use chalk paint for this one. I used the Folklore in the linen color because it's a one coat paint and I wanted him to be really bright and white. And these amazing little stencils that I got, 15 for $3.38. I will leave the link down below. Snowman faces. I have used them so many times, you have no idea. So I didn't like the eyes on that one. It was using like stars for eyes. So I used another stencil, and I actually moved it around to make the eyes closer together because I wanted it to have eyes that were a little bit closer together. But I also can't draw very well. So the stencils are going to be a saving grace for me for the rest of my crafting years. I'm so excited because I usually make snowmen about this size, and if I make them bigger, I still can refer to those faces for ideas like a template. So really pleased with that one. And I'm just gonna paint his little nose orange, and then for the rest of it I'm gonna use a black permanent marker, and that's it. We're just gonna make his face now. Chose to make his headband like a dark burgundy red. I'm kind of sticking with the forest deep greens and the wine colors because I want to be careful not to make these look too Christmassy. You know, you have that Christmas red and that Christmas green. I want it to be winter colors, which are still green and red, but I want to tone it down so it looks more like winter decor. Next, I'm using a sponge to tap on some misty snow. I'm kind of making little mountains, or I'm trying to, like little hills, because I want him to look like he's forward, and I want the rest of this to look like it's backwards, further away from him. You could use a chip brush for that too. I'm using another sponge, and I just used burnt umber from Apple Barrel Paint to make a quick trunk for a tree, because we're going to be making a super easy pine tree. I'm using English Ivy Green from Apple Barrel Paint and this sponge again, and it's that simple, you guys. I'm literally just going down like little karate chops just down in the line, and we're making a very primitive rustic pine tree, which for this decor piece is perfect, and it's easy to do. Anyone can do this, so don't be intimidated. Next, I'm taking a paintbrush with lots of paint on the tip, and I'm going to make some snowflakes. Now, to give the illusion that some are far away and some are closer, I'm going with tiny little specks right there. You can see me just doing these little mini dots, and hopefully that makes it look like there's some dimension. Next, I'm using this burlap ribbon. I will have the link down below in my description box. I wanted again to steer away from the strong Christmas colors, and I thought this was perfect because it kind of curls and looks like it's flying in the wind naturally. So we're just gluing it on, and also the ends. I didn't even have to cut those to look like they were frayed. I'm just pulling them apart right here, and they frayed on their own. And then I'm going to curl them and tack them down using a little bit of hot glue to give even more of an illusion that they're blowing in the wind. Next, I'm going to use these awesome white plastic snowflakes. If you don't have these, you can use the tiny wood ones from Dollar Tree. I will leave the link to these down below in my description box. And I'm just kind of strategically putting them all over in places to add to the illusion that's snowing. And lastly, but not leastly, I'm going to distress the tip of those little wooden beads with white to make them look a little bit like snowballs. For this project, I got one of these thick Dollar Tree snowflakes. They're actually kind of heavy. And I'm going to also be using a pizza pan, you'll see later. And I'm using one of these little home sweet home signs that I took from another project. It was these little arched windows that you can find in the frame sections at your Dollar Tree. And I'm just using a heat gun and peeling off the front sticker. It's super easy. And whatever doesn't come off, I take a nail file. I love the nail files, the really raspy ones that you use for like acrylic nails. It's basically sandpaper. I love using those for like fine detail or tiny sanding. They're perfect for that, like in little corners. And they're usually cheap. You can get a whole bunch in a package, so keep that in mind. And now I'm going to take and paint both of those with the Folk Art chalk paint in the color Linen. This is a little time consuming. For those of you that don't like to take time painting like this, you can go out and spray paint it, of course. I hate the smell of spray paint. It kind of makes me feel sick, and so usually I have to plan ahead of time, spray paint, and let it sit for like 3 or 4 days so it doesn't smell. And unfortunately, I thought of this DIY like right before I did it, so no spray paint for me. We were going with the non-toxic, non-fumey chalk paint. Next, we're using a Dollar Tree pizza pan. I love these. These are another one of those pieces that you can totally make it look like wood if you want, like a wood round. But I'm just putting the Waverly chalk paint in the color Ink. It's basically just black. One coat on top of the underside of the pizza pan. That is my favorite side of the pizza pan when I do crafts with pizza pans, because it gives you a little ridge for whatever you want to put on. So took the nail file, filed the edges of that little snowflake, because for some reason it had lots of little like pieces, like splinters almost, even though it's an MDF board. It was weird. And now I'm showing you those tin snippers, how good they are with the craft sticks. Look at that. Watch this. Boom. I'm just cutting away. No splinters, no cracking, no waste. So I want to say they cost me $14. They were no more than $16. I'm almost sure of it. I hope I'm not wrong. You guys can come down on me if I am, because I am not looking. I'm going to put the link in my description box, like I said, but I'm not positive about the price. But it definitely didn't break the bank. And for the results, the performance, so worth it. One of the best crafting tools I've bought in a long time. So in case you haven't guessed, we are making a snowman hat out of craft sticks, and they're just craft sticks cut, measured to fit that little head there to the left. That little sign that came on the arched window is going to be my snowman head. And then I took a nail file again, filed the edges so that they're rounded a little bit and not so sharp. And now we're using another one of those stencils to do an awesome snowman face. And we're going to color it in with the usual, the acrylic paint from, I believe that is pumpkin orange from Apple Barrel Paint. And the permanent marker, I love permanent markers because they're easier to work with. And a little bit of white paint in the eye just to make it look more alive there. And we're using the black paint in the color Ink again, Waverly chalk paint for the hat, but any black paint would work. Black paint is such a strong pigment that you can definitely get cheap black paint and still have a really dark, nice result. Now I'm using some of the Dollar Tree gingham black and white ribbon, and we're going to make a little scarf for his neck. Now I did have to push it down a little bit with my nail so the mouth wasn't covered, but it made it look better. It actually made it look like it was tucked under her chin. I think it's a her this time. I guess it's the eyelashes. I'm thinking that looks, it could be a snowman, but I'm thinking it might be a her. Okay, so we are taking and fraying the ends of the little faux scarf, and again we're using the plastic white snowflakes. I'm going to glue one on the scarf, one on the top of the hat, and then put a little bit of frost on the top because it's cold outside. We're going to glue that hat on top of its head, and we are going to take some of the antique wax with a baby wipe and just go around the face a little bit to make it pop, give a little more dimension. I'm going to be gluing this on top of white, so I just wanted to make sure you can definitely see the face of the snow person here. Using some Dollar Tree snow, I'm going to go ahead and take the Elmer's disappearing like purple spray adhesive and spray this so that it gets mostly covered. I mean, I pretty much covered all of it, and then cover it with the snow, press it down, and then shake it off so that we make this snowflake sparkle. This next step is totally optional if you don't want to add twine. You can always use the other side of the pizza pan and just do like a faux wood frame using white paint and then wax and make faux wood. But I definitely wanted to add the twine. I think it makes the craft look more rustic and wintry. And this time, I've never done this before, I wanted to try it. I'm going to take some of the smaller twine this one's from Walmart, it's thicker, and tie it at the top, and then it's actually on the nautical rope, and then glue the nautical rope down with the hanger on it. Just felt like that would be a little more secure. I went to drill holes in this, and there were so many little metal shards. I just said, oh, forget it. I didn't want to deal with it because I thought with my luck, I'll get the metal in my foot. It'll fall on the floor. So I thought we're going to do something different here. We're just going to glue the hanger onto the actual nautical rope to make it stronger, because this is going to be outside on my door when it snows. And I was worried that the hot glue on the back, even though I usually duct tape it, still might freeze and kind of maybe fall off. I'm not sure. I've never dealt with the freezing temperatures yet with the hot glue and the duct tape trick. So I did it this way. This should work fine. Now I'm taking some pine cones and just doing some accents at the bottom of the snowflake. That is Dollar Tree pine, by the way. It's very beautiful. I saved it for my winter DIYs because I thought it kind of had like a more wintry green look to it. I don't know why. I just thought it was less Christmassy. You could use it for Christmas for sure, but definitely it goes nice with the winter. And we're gluing the snow person or lady in the middle. I took some of my white paint and decided to make like little snowflakes around on the twine. Also decided to frost up the pine cones and the pine more. And that's it. This came up so cute. I always hang all of my little pieces like this in the middle of a wreath on my door. You'll see in a minute here how cute it's going to look when it starts to snow. So this is a project that has that great craft hack that I just discovered. I have a personal vendetta with stencils. They never work for me. I've mentioned it a couple times in my videos. I went and bought this spray adhesive because that's supposed to do the trick. But when I read it, you guys, it was literally, there were so many warnings about breathing it in, flammable, ignition, toxic, and I went, forget it. For as often as I craft, that can't be a permanent solution. If you only craft now and again, you can do that. But like me, in a tiny room where you craft 2 or 3 days a week, every single week, I have to come up with non-toxic solutions. So I thought we're going to try our trusty glue stick. I use it for everything. Why not? It's going to be an epic fail if I don't glue it down because we already went there, and I just wasn't in the mood to trace it with pencil. You can see I started and I thought this will take me forever to trace this out, even with a chalk pen. I thought I want to use a stencil the way a stencil is supposed to be used. So I put the glue stick down generously like I always talk about, and you're going to see the results in just a minute. And here we go. Wow, look at that. 100% decent. So here's what I learned. And this is my first time, and it was half-heartedly done because I really didn't think it was going to work. And I just thought, oh, well, it's going to be a DIY that doesn't make it in the video. I did have to do some little minor touch-ups with a permanent marker and a little bit of scraping here and there with a blade, you know, my little craft knife. But compared to what I would have done if I had not used the glue stick, there was no comparison. So I went ahead and rubbed the glue stick down. I put my stencil down right away. I should have put something heavy on it like a book for about 15 minutes and just waited. Then I wouldn't have had any fixes, I don't think, at all. And it actually leaves a little film behind because this sign is black. So you see it. I like that. It looks distressed. It looks like I almost dry brushed it a bit. So if you want your whole board to look like that, just put the glue stick all over the board so you get that look. You can also rub it off with your finger. I didn't bother because I like that look, but it was a learning curve. There's going to be a learning curve here, but I'm so pleased because stencils are back on the table for me and for all of you guys. Super cheap to do. And, you know, I've got a lot of exciting things upcoming because of this little hack that I just figured out. So I took some wood rounds there that you saw just to get the round shape, and I'm making 2 snowmen on either side of this. I want these to be really, really kind of like a primitive snowman, I guess. Really simple. I don't know if it's primitive, but just very, very simple. I love the fact that this sign is just black and white. And in its simplicity, I just wanted to keep it more or less black and white. I'm bringing out my trusty, well-loved, beloved stencils of snowman faces. You can see all the choices I have there. When I found one I was happy with, I just did it in reverse on either side. So they're facing each other. And again, kept it really simple. I'm just going to do some black eyes, a black mouth, little orange nose. I actually did paint one of the scarecrow straw hats from the Dollar Tree black and cut it in half, and I was going to glue it on top, and I thought, no, it just changed the whole sign again. It kind of made it look homemade, I guess, instead of store-bought. I wanted to keep this really simple, and I wanted it to look more or less store-bought. So everything's just, again, veering away from the Christmas colors, keeping it just winter colors, just the nice black and white with a little pop of orange. And that's it. I'm going to lean this in like I have this coffee bar area. I don't actually use it as a coffee bar. I use it more like a decorative hutch to put my decor. But I also played around with the idea of putting a neck scarf on these guys, and I wasn't sure about it. And I thought, it's too bad my YouTube family isn't here, because if we were all just crafting together in a big room, I could shout out and ask you guys what you thought. So I'm holding them up here. Let me know what you think. I left it off because I like it plain too, but I would love to hear some feedback from you guys. And for now, this is what we got. Hey, 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 if you had fun today, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, comment, share the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and as always, until the next one, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.